Never? Doesn't matter then? If you're never ready, that means that I can just go, right?
Yep.
Okay. We're gonna do that. Ladies and gentlemen, as the suns began their slow descent beyond the horizon, casting long shadows over the jagged peaks of the Storm Song Mountains, you and your companions finally set sail aboard the airship. The arcanic engine humming beneath your feet, low and steady thrum that sent vibrations through the ship as it lifted off into the sky. Behind you, the mountains fading into the distance. There's a weight there, a weight of what happened that clings to you like a shadow. The loss of someone dear, 80's terrifying power, Chokrin's destruction. None of it is truly left behind. You carry it with you, although none of you wish to speak of it yet. The wind rushes past, cold and biting, as your airship crests the mountains and you turn southward. The landscape below stretches out, familiar and yet not as you view it from this new perspective. You realize that your journey into the unknown has truly begun now. But the difficulties come faster than expected. You were forced to leave the mountains in haste, without much time to learn the ship's inner workings. The strain of flying a vessel such as this becomes immediately clear. Every gust of wind, every shift in the air sends rocking throughout the ship. Your hands are unused to the ropes and the controls. You fumble with things that are unfamiliar. The few among you with sailing experience call out with terms that perhaps made sense on river ships, but in the air are only vaguely true. You all do your best, but it's not enough. Not yet. Your muscles begin to ache, your fingers cramp, and every move feels like not just a test of your endurance, but a test of your very will. Fatigue, both physical and mental, set in quicker than you'd hoped. The weariness of the past hours, the fight to survive, the rapid preparation of the ship, and the weight of grief pressed down on all of you in different ways, dulls your reflexes, slows your minds, and the sky above grows dark surprisingly fast. And even as the stars begin to twinkle into view, the air around you feels heavier. It's not long before you all come to the same realization. This cannot continue. Mere hours after setting sail, or Lustrin a decent distance behind you, you know the ship needs to touch down. You know you need rest. There's no strength left to push. And if you do so, there are risks, more than perhaps you're willing to gamble. Collective decision is made, and you begin to guide the airship towards a clearing. There's dense trees around, and these rolling hills are going to provide a decent amount of cover along with the night. But it's the best that you can do, so you just have to hope that it's good enough. Your minds spin with unanswered questions, your bodies ache with exhaustion, and your hearts are weighed down by the events you left behind on those peaks. But as the ship nestles to the ground, hovering as it did up in the mountains a few feet above, and everything comes to rest, what do you do?
I'm currently doing what 80's doing. I don't know if that was clear. She's just sort of staring. Uh, off into space. So this is role play.
Sisk probably just falls asleep, probably in the engine room where they've been the entire time, just like curls up around the engine like a little cat around a heater.
I think Mira kind of walks the length of the ship and checks all of the decks and is looking for any signs of wear and tear that still need to be addressed, and kind of tallying the shape that the ship is in, and trying to busy herself with logistics so that she doesn't have to think about all that has happened in the last couple of days.
Give me an investigation check, and also either a wisdom saving throw or a constitution saving throw. There's argument to be made for either, so I'll let you decide which one is more appropriate for you. And don't forget that Varl's donation from earlier gives you 2 advantages that you can use if you want to.
Investigation is 17.
Okay.
And you said wisdom or what?
Wisdom or constitution.
I will give you a wisdom save. And I am going to use an advantage.
Cool.
Also 17.
Okay. Mira is in a state right now that is very difficult to describe. She's pressing things out of her mind that want to break in. She's forcing herself to focus on things that she doesn't fully understand as a way of trying to distract herself and cope. She can feel the fatigue heavy upon her. And if it wasn't for the sheer will of determination that she has right now, she would probably collapse into a heap on the deck. Much like Sisk. There is a lot to be done, but it's one of those scenarios where it's almost too much, and it's hard to focus on any one thing to even begin. She spends probably 30, 40 minutes, maybe longer, scouring across the ship, and it really begins to feel overwhelming. At some point, she spots Phelan, who, despite the healed but still mending leg that was severely broken earlier, trying to batten down sails, tying off some ropes, hobbling along, trying to stay busy, obviously in pain and equally as exhausted. At some point, they kind of glance in Mira's direction, and Mira can tell pretty plainly that they're just willing themselves along too.
How's your leg?
As you approach, they didn't notice. After you had kind of caught eyes with them, they looked away. And then when they hear your voice, they kind of jump a little bit, but turn. They seem relieved that you came over. I'll be all right. Ironically, I've had worse. Just really very, very tired at the moment.
I think when they say they've had worse, she looks at the scar on their neck.
And catch your gaze, and their hand goes up instinctively to their neck. I had forgotten about that. No, I've had not quite as bad as that, but I don't know. I'm not making sense. We've got a few things that have to get done before anyone can rightfully rest.
More than a few, I would say. More than a few, at least, to make the ship skyworthy. But what did you see that needs tending right away?
Just somebody's got to get up into the rigging and secure some of those ropes. If we don't, then the sail's going to get all knotted up, and we're going to spend hours in the morning trying to resolve it. Just kind of working up the energy to go and do it myself.
Well, I don't think that's a good idea. Let me see if anyone's in better shape. If nothing else,
nod.
I would rather do it than have you up there.
Well, let's hope someone else can do it then. They just kind of go back to the rigging. You can tell very clearly that they are far too exhausted to do that task. They're probably too exhausted to even be doing the meager tasks they're doing now. So.
I will go find the others slowly and see, try to take stock without asking directly who feels the least run down at this point.
You find Bren first. Bren's pretty tired too. Bren had been working, not that anyone hadn't been working hard, but not being as perhaps skilled as others in some of this type of thing. They were working doubly hard, trying to show that he was still helpful. And so he's pretty beat up too. But when you mention it, he will say, yeah, I can turn into something and climb my way up.
All right, well, Phelan thinks that if we leave it for even, a couple hours or morning or whatever, it's gonna get knotted. So if don't fall.
I mean, I don't think I've ever fallen.
There's a first time for everything.
Maybe. And you see him just shapeshift into a ape. Fur kind of silver along the back and going gray elsewhere. And he just kind of grunts at you and starts making his way towards Phelan.
I think after that is done, Mira will go find 80 and check in.
80 would be probably just moving things from room to room. Ideally, things that make sense to move from place to place, but if it doesn't, she'd still do it anyways. Just out of need to be moving.
There is
So you might find
several
her.
things that probably would occur to 80. Certainly in this instance that she's so tired and probably looking for a place to rest. You guys really hadn't figured out the sleeping arrangements for everyone. There's the crew quarters, which is where currently you guys have Oriana laying in one of the beds that had been mended. There are 4 beds kind of shoved into that crew quarter. And then the bottom deck of the ship, which is technically where the engine room is, but the front part is also cargo, or middle part is cargo, and the front part is also a sleeping area where there's an array of hammocks, 6 in total. And then there's also the captain's room, which is connected to the top deck, that has a very large bed in it, but there's also ample room in there to set up additional sleeping arrangements. So that probably would be the first thing that I think would occur to 80 if she's looking for something to occupy in regards to trying to productively do something.
Yeah, she'd do that.
So which area of the ship does Mira find 80?
I would say that currently she'd be busying herself by the crew quarters, probably like peeking in on Oriana more often than necessary, as things haven't changed much, but I think she'd like want to lay eyes on her as often as possible.
Yeah. You guys did have to kind of tie Oriana to the bed, just to like around the waist, perhaps, maybe the shoulders as well, just to keep her body from sliding all over the place and the turbulence of actually flying the airship. It was a bit touch and go there for a bit, and so someone thought to tie her down. She's resting peacefully by outward appearance, but she does have this kind of pained expression on her face. And go ahead and give me a charisma saving throw for 80.
Sure. $24.
Nice. This wasn't to suffer any ill effect. It was more to be able to kind of pierce into the veil of her unconscious state and see if you could read her emotions. And 80 very quickly, easily, perhaps too easily, maybe scares 80 a little bit, just how easy it was to get into Oriana's mind. And she can feel this almost like emotional experience of being lost.
That is another emotion that 80 wishes she wasn't feeling at the moment. But I think she would just look at her just a little bit longer and then move on to, the next room, kind of preparing them for everybody. I don't think she knows quite yet where everyone will end up, but she's trying to get things together.
Mira watches her for a little bit, and there are tears in her eyes. And eventually she says, "You're reminding me of Tig when we found them. Just organizing and moving stuff around."
I mean, what else is there for me to do?
Rest.
I don't know if I can. Right now, this is best. You could rest.
There's so much to do, I don't even know where to start. Rest seems foolish.
I feel like you would tell me to just take a room, start working there. I can help you. Do you have like a list of chores that need to be done.
Have you met me?
Well, let's get to it because I just, I'm really tired, but I can't stop yet.
Okay. I'll help finish arranging things in here and then look at my list and just kind of stare at it for a few minutes before I pick a task, and this seems as good as any.
You have to start somewhere.
What's Violet doing?
Since every bedroom is kind of shared, I think Violet is trying to find a place. It's like a stairwell that's not used very often. Just a place where it's a bit more private, and I don't think she's handling the overwhelm very well. I think she normally runs away from her problems and she can't run away from the ship. And so I think she's hiding somewhere, hugging her knees and just crying.
Okay. There are definitely some cubbyhole type places for Violet to hide out in. Violet's pretty good at hiding when she needs to as well. So, definite places for that. As she's sitting there, she's there for maybe 5 or 10 minutes. Not really sure exactly how long. For her ears pick up the distinctive sound of Ren's boots. There's pause as they stop not too far from Violet, and she clears her throat and says, "Hey kid."
Hey, what are you doing? She'll wipe her eyes and stand up.
As you stand up, she's standing there. You can see she's still pretty beat up herself. She still has the scars of whatever battle that she had with the clergy up the mountainside. And you can tell better than anyone else, probably the only person who can actually tell, just how tired she is as well. And she looks at you and you see nothing but care in her eyes. What she presents as cold and serious and stern to everyone else, you know, is pretty genuine affection for you. And as you stand up, she just takes a single step forward and wraps you in a hug.
I think Violet just starts crying even more, and then we'll hug her back.
It's okay now. I mean, it's not okay, but we're safe. As soon as you're ready to talk about stuff, you know I'm here, right? Doesn't have to be now. You don't have to say anything. Just nod that you know I'm here.
Thanks.
I'm gonna go check around us and make sure there's not any dangers. You're welcome to come along if you need something to do. But otherwise, you should probably find a place to maybe grab some Z's, okay?
Need some time.
seems like it's not going to rain, I'm probably going to string a hammock up on the navigation deck. There's some room up there if you need.
Thanks.
He just steps back and gives your hand a squeeze.
Sit back down.
Ren comes to the rest of you at some point shortly after that, just to give the heads up that she's bouncing off the ship for a few and check for any dangers around. Make sure that we're not about to be, happened upon by some lost traveler or late night campers or silly adventurers or hunters. Then she goes off. Mira probably comes across Varric first. Can tell very clearly that Varric is still pretty shattered. He tried to be helpful in the sailing, but it just really isn't in his capabilities. And so during most of it, he had basically been trying to keep things from falling off of walls or falling out of cupboards and the like in the mess area. And as you come across him, Mira, he makes eye contact with you, and you can see the sheer and utter sorrow in his eyes. But you can also tell that he doesn't really want to face anything. And he just kind of gets a stonied expression and starts busying himself. Pretty plain to tell that he's just occupying. He's not actually doing anything truly productive.
Adie and I put some of the beds together. If you want to sleep.
Doesn't look up. Just nods. Sleep would be good.
Love you, Dad.
Starts to turn and then stops himself, and you can see tears starting to form at the edges of his eyes, and a few of them fall down his cheek. You too.
We're gonna need you tomorrow, so go get some sleep.
Yeah, okay. Just continues to do what he was doing.
She'll go back to where Adie is. I don't know if he's gonna pay attention to me, but I told him that we fixed the beds, so I told him he should sleep.
Yeah. Thanks for talking to him. The closer I get to him, the worse it feels. Maybe if he sleeps, I'll get a break.
Maybe if you sleep, you'll get a break.
Maybe. How did everything get so fucked up so fast?
I don't know. Did you talk to Violet?
I tried to. She doesn't, I scared her. And I scared myself. And she was supposed to be the one to do it, to kill Chokrin, and I took that from her. And now she's so mad. And I don't blame her at all. We didn't really talk much. She might need someone to talk to. So.
You want me to go talk to her?
No bad giving you more to do. Every time. All the time. But she loves you. Might help.
She loves you too.
Maybe. I promise to go get some rest. Will you do the same soon? Please?
Yeah.
Okay. And she'll go in and hug you and hold you very tight for a little bit.
I'll pull away a little bit and just grab the sides of your face. We'll make it through this.
When you say it, I believe it. Go. I'm very tired. So I'm going to get some sleep.
As you say that, you hear Phelan kind of hobbling into the room. He can't really be quiet at this point. And as he comes into the room, he just looks at you and he has this they just have this perplexed expression upon their face. Bren's still an ape and he's asleep in the mast. He's laying on a bunch of the rigging.
Did he get done what he was supposed to?
It's a knotted mess, but at least it's not going anywhere. And more than likely, Violet or Ren are probably skilled enough to climb up there in the morning and undo the knots. It's certainly easier to do that than what it would have been. So, yes.
Great. I don't think waking him now is a great idea, so we'll just let him stay there.
The only thing, but does he stay? Is he going to sleep like an ape and then middle of the night turn back into him and
Yeah, he's done this as a bear before, and it'll yeah.
Okay. Well, if we're all woken up by a scream and a thud, we'll know what it was.
Maybe he knotted himself in as he was trying to fix it. I don't know. He claimed he's never fallen, so we'll see.
Oh. I can't do anything about it, so I'm gonna go find a place to go unconscious. kind of looks back and forth between the two of you. Should all probably get some sleep.
I've one more thing to do, and then I will.
Start heading down to where the hammocks are.
And I will go find Violet.
Give me a investigation check.
$22.
Violet, roll a stealth check.
I think that was a 17.
Do you want to use one of your advantages?
No, it's fine.
Takes a little bit of doing, but Mira's persistent and eventually does find Violet. What state is Violet in as she hears Mira's approach before Mira pokes her head around a crate and sees her?
I think she's letting herself be found at this point. She's just sitting there, facing her knees.
Mira will go sit down next to her and just wrap her arms around Violet and not say anything for a while.
I'll lean into it.
Are you okay?
No.
I mean, that's a stupid question. I don't know how... I don't think any of us are okay, but I don't know what else to say.
What are we doing? This is crazy.
I don't even know anymore. This started off as just a fun adventure. We were gonna go see a weird meteor that fell, and I don't know. It's been great to see 80 able to use her magic, but I don't know what to say about what happened.
I don't know either. And I'm afraid to be around her. And not because I'm scared of what she could do, but I don't think she could handle what I'm feeling. I don't want to put it on her. She's already going through so much.
She's pretty strong. And I think she'd rather have you close and feel what you're feeling than have you stay away to protect her or to not burden her. She feels guilty. And she doesn't know what to do to make it right.
I don't know what she can do. I don't know. I accepted her apology when we talked, and then I feel really confused. I feel so mad. I feel sad. I'm feeling a lot, and I don't think it's fair to I want to show up for 80, and I don't think I can yet. She's strong. I know she's strong, but oh, how are you handling this? Like, you've just lost your mom. I need to be able to process what I'm going through and not put that on you guys.
I think the thing about friendship and love is that you do put it on each other. And you trust that the other person is strong enough. And you try to get through it together. I think it feels easier to isolate, but it's harder to get through.
So used to being alone, you know? And 80's special, like, I can't hide it. Can't hide how I'm feeling around her. She'll feel it regardless, and that's what makes it so hard.
I have tried a million different ways to hide from 80 over the years. And you're right, it doesn't work. But it feels worse when I try. And when I'm so fucking mad at her for doing stupid things, or for putting herself in danger, or for forgetting to close the goddamn cupboard door and I hit my head on it for the millionth time, she'd rather know. And she's learned pretty well how to cope and how to separate herself from other people's feelings and to distinguish between hers and theirs and to ask for space when she needs it. And I think neither of you wants to do more to hurt the other right now. So if you need space, that's fine. You just have to tell her.
That's fair.
She loves you, Violet. She missed you so much when you were gone.
Love her too. You okay?
I don't think she has really had time to deal with anything. I don't think any of us have had time to deal with anything. So, I don't know.
Okay.
Is there anything I can do for you? Are you hungry? Are you tired? Are you...
I'm okay.
need to
She'll
go up to the deck and scream at the sky? I'll come with you.
I don't know if I have the energy for that, but you'd help me up. Maybe we can walk around a bit.
Yeah. We can go take a peek at Bren. He's currently an ape up in the mast. We're hoping he doesn't fall.
Why is he an ape in the mast?
Phelan wanted him to secure some of the rigging up there so that it didn't get all knotted. He sort of did it. It's still knotted. You might have to fix it in the morning, but it won't get worse, at least, overnight. But he fell asleep up there.
Yeah, okay, that makes sense. I'll bet you 10 gold pieces that he falls as an ape before he turns into a person.
I will absolutely take that bet.
Let's go throw rocks at him.
Yeah. I can mage hand and flick his nose or something.
I can also mage hand now.
You can?
Yeah. Like a little dragon claw.
Yes. I want to see it. Let's go.
Yeah. I'll show you.
So you guys head up above deck onto the main deck to harass a sleeping ape Bren. At some point shortly after that, Ren comes back. She grumbles something about doesn't seem to be any immediate danger, and she starts setting up the hammock. After a minute of watching you guys mess with Bren, you glance over and see her basically standing on the navigation deck with her arms crossed, just staring at you. Not a generally positive expression on her face, but, you know, she doesn't often have positive expressions on her face, so...
Just trying to have some fun, okay?
Just shakes her head and goes and finds her hammock.
I think I might fall asleep on my feet if I don't find a place to lay down. So
I hope you get some good rest.
you too.
Yeah, okay. Miko, is there a crow's nest?
Sure.
Yeah, Violet sleeps up there for sure.
Okay. It's not large, and it's not comfortable, but we'll say that you can sleep up there.
I should have tucked the kids into bed before I went to sleep, but couldn't trust them to get some rest on time. Unbelievable.
No, you absolutely could not. But that's okay. Sisk was probably desperately in need of sleep. And Sisk will also be the first one to wake up in the morning. So, well, technically the second, because Ren will be awake, because Ren only needs 4 hours. But
Gotta rub it in. I can look like an elf.
unfortunately, that does not confer upon you the magical benefits of elven sleeping arrangement. But yes, you all find your rest, however uncomfortable, however fraught, however needed. You all manage to find your rest nonetheless. As morning comes, Sisk, you awaken. You find yourself very, very, very warm, sleeping in the engine room, but not uncomfortably so. You can imagine that particularly on cold nights, it would be an amazing place to sleep. You're not so sure how it's going to do in hotter environments.
Yeah, we're going to the desert, huh? It's gonna
You
suck.
are technically on your way to the desert. Now, it's worth mentioning that this is still, like, technically the beginnings of spring. So you still have a few months left before the spring equinox. And so hopefully it's not quite as boiling hot as you would expect. Yes, and as Deb points out in chat, deserts often get very cold at night. So in the morning, you do come out to find Ren trying to make some basic breakfast for everyone. You all don't have you have supplies, but you don't have a ton of what you would like. The meals are not going to be extravagant at this point. And as you step into the mess hall, she kind of fixes you with a glance, that oddly piercing stare of hers, even though she's just looking at you like out of the corner of her eye. And she says, at some point, we're probably going to need to stop somewhere and get some actual food. But this will do for now.
We can handle that. When you went out, did you see any settlements or anything? Is there anything nearby at all?
I took a glance at the maps this morning. We could get pretty much anywhere on foot within about half a day if we wanted to do something now, but I'm of the mind that we should probably get further away from Orlustran before we try doing anything.
That's a great plan.
Seem to remember you mentioning something about some magic that might be able to help us, at least when we're taking off and potentially landing, right?
Yeah, I'll take out the which one was it? Scroll of Major Illusion. It'd be like I was able to pick up one of these bad boys. I was hoping one of the girls could transcribe it in a notebook, but I don't know if that's the kind of magic they do.
Yeah, I have no idea.
But we have it at least once, so.
I think we might be okay for now, depending upon what time we want to get out of here, but we could definitely use some cover. This all feels, I don't know, I think people are going to see a big flying ship running through the skies at some point or another. Not that they're going to be able to do anything about it quickly, but
at some point someone's going to catch on.
Yeah. Save it for now, I guess. We'll use it if we feel like we absolutely have to. That'd be my suggestion anyway. How'd you sleep?
It was pretty warm. It could be nice. I think I'm overheating a little bit. I might go get some air. Do Do you know where your niece is? I feel like she's hiding somewhere weird.
Sleeping up on the navigation deck.
Okay, sweet. I might go check in with her.
Give her probably another half hour or so. She took a while to go to bed.
That sounds about right. Okay. I'll see what I can do. Thanks, Ren. Yeah, thank you.
Also, how good are you at climbing?
Is that Ren asking me? I am okay at climbing, better at falling.
I don't even want to know how that works. You talk to Violet, ask her to climb the mast and untie Bren.
Oh, Bren's tied up in the sails or something?
He tied himself to the mast as an ape last night. Like up in the rigging above the sail.
Again? Okay.
What do you mean? Wait, never mind.
You don't want to know that either.
No, I don't.
Okay. Is there anything I can help you with if I have half an hour to kill?
You could go down into the stocks below and see if you can find wherever somebody hid the coffee, because I'm not finding it up here.
Okay. Oh, maybe I should get Bren for that. I'll wander off downstairs.
You head off downstairs. You find Phelan hanging from, like, dangling from one of the, not hanging, dangling out of one of the hammocks. Just happily snoozing away.
I try not to bully them on my way past.
You are successful in not bullying.
Oh, perfect, thank you. Pass the secret check. Yeah. Am I able to find the coffee?
Yeah, you are able to find the coffee. I'm assuming you bring it back up to Ren.
Yeah, make coffee. Probably takes about half an hour.
Yeah.
How far are the suns in the sky at this
Not yet
point?
risen. They're
Not even risen yet?
No, there's light on the horizon, but they haven't fully come up yet.
Okay. I am going to just sit on the deck, I think. Stare out at the view and wait for Violet to wake up, because the suns haven't even risen yet. Why? Why would I do that to her? So
You sit there staring at the horizon, sipping from a cup of coffee. You glance up. You see Bren hanging, like, very, what looks to be uncomfortably, but completely dead asleep.
ape or man?
Man.
Okay.
His ape form wore off hours ago. At some point, Violet starts stirring as the rays of sunlight from the suns start creeping over the horizon and pretty much pelt her square in the face.
Okay. If I hear her stirring or see her kind of stirring, I'm going to loudly start climbing up.
You climb up onto the navigation deck. Violet awakens.
Violet will look over the edge of the crow's nest and see Bren is still tied. As a person.
Oh, that's right. You were in the crow's nest. I'm sorry. I forgot about that. That was my bad.
And she'll mutter to herself like, fuck, I lost 10 gold pieces. Fuck. And then she'll slowly climb down. And as she passes Bren, I think she'll try to like swipe 10 gold pieces from his pocket if he's asleep.
100% done.
No check?
Nope.
Sweet. Then I'll climb all the way back down.
Do you untie him or do you just leave him there?
No one told me to untie him, so I just leave him there.
Fisk, you see Violet. Do you say something? Or just let her move past?
I'll let her move past Bren. He's still asleep. He's gonna just fall on his face if she cuts him down now. Hey Vi, do you want some coffee? Ren made some coffee.
I'd love some coffee.
Okay. let's go. Do you wanna hang out with me? I can show you how to kind of fix the lyre. Is it a lyre you gave me?
Yeah.
Look fixing the lyre today. I can show you how to like restring it. You probably know that already because of your family, but
You know what? Just maybe we should just leave it broken for now.
Cisco will make a very sad face. Okay.
I think we got lots to do, and maybe you can show me how the engine works, or show me how it could be more helpful on the ship.
Do you care about the engine?
Care about is flying.
Well, I can handle that. You don't have to worry about that.
I don't know. I just want to be more helpful.
I think you're already plenty helpful.
Oh my God, Sisk. It's too early for this.
You're such a smart girl.
Oh my God. And she'll just like walk towards the mess.
You're smart and you're funny and I'll just keep listing things and following.
As you make your way down to the mess, Phelan comes up from down below, yawning. It's coffee.
Big yawn. What was that?
I said, who has coffee?
You can have mine. It's mostly backwash at this point.
Is there more?
Yes. Yeah, come on. Are none of you people morning people?
I'm a morning person occasionally.
When you have coffee, okay. Sounds fine.
Right. You woke up cheerful this morning.
I already had my coffee too, so I'm speaking from a place of privilege here.
Well, I shall join you presently. And they go over to get some coffee from Ren. As Ren sees you, Violet, they scoot a plate with a couple of biscuits that have been heated up. We've got some honey somewhere around here, I think. Maybe you can find it.
Yeah.
Why do I always end up in the kitchen? You know, I really don't like doing this.
No, you only sleep 4 hours and then you end up in the kitchen. How am I supposed to answer that? Sounds like it's a decision.
It's different when we're like in camp and stuff, because then I feel like I have to do it, and yet somehow I still end up doing it when we're like in quote unquote civilization with actual kitchens.
And Six usually does it.
We need to get you a hobby. That's what that sounds like.
I've got plenty of hobbies.
Following people.
You know, when I really think about it, Ren, you are like a stranger to me. Like, I know we're family, and like, but I've only really known you for like 2 months. So I saw you when you were like 7, when I was 7. Like, what do you do for fun? What's your favorite color? What do you like to eat?
Fun is a subjective thing. Green and jerky.
You're Violet's mom's sister?
Yeah.
How do you feel about her dad and like when he was like courting her mom?
All right. That might be getting into things that I don't think I know you well enough to
How
talk
did you
about.
name your bird?
Lyra already had a name.
Okay, that's cool. So
Why are
how
you
did
so
you feel
nosy?
about Violet's dad? I don't know. What else do I have to do?
We're just
guess
talking.
Yeah, we're getting to know you. Do we
Why
have
is
to
this
always
all
play
of
a
a sudden
game?
about me?
because you complained about making breakfast for us every morning, and it feels like, I don't know, it feels like maybe we should get to know you if you're going to be making us
Aren't you
food.
the one that was wanting to be like some kind of important chef or something? On a boat, no less? I seem to recall you mentioning something to me about fixing up your father's boat and like turning it into a casino or a restaurant or something, and you making food for people.
That doesn't sound like me at all. And she'll go into the kitchen and try to find the honey.
Anyway, did anybody get Bren down from the mast?
Who?
I'll go do it. As Ren starts walking away. Meanwhile, Phelan is just sitting there, the coffee in hand, just sipping, watching all of this interchange between the three of you.
Jalen, what do you like to do for fun? What's your favorite color? What do you like to eat?
Ren just stands up, starts hobbling away.
How do you like the twins' parents? That you probably went to school with them or something.
Phelan stops, turns, and looks back at Sisk. Sisk is not good at reading people, right? Sisk has disadvantage on insight.
Yeah.
Even Sisk withers under the gaze that Phelan forces upon them. I'll let that one go for now. Just nods and turns back away from you.
What's that?
I don't know. That was a complete random shot. I think I hit. Oh my gosh. I think
To find out what that's about,
shit.
so we can bully him.
Yeah, today's a day for bullying, I guess. Just gotta get the jitters out. Been cooped up on the ship.
You've literally only been on the not even been on the ship a single day. It has not been 24 hours since you've been on this ship. Anyway, let's cut over to the twins. So you would push some beds together. I'm guessing in the room where Oriana was tied down. That sounded awful. As you, whichever one of you thinks would waken first, you awaken and see Varric sitting at the end of the bed that he had slept in. And he just has a book out on his lap. And he's not reading the book. He's just, it's open. And he's holding it between his arms. Kind of like, you ever hugged a book where it's open and you just hug it to your chest? It's like laying like that on his lap and like half up, as if he perhaps was hugging it at some point. And he's just kind of unfocused and staring off at the wall.
You okay, Dad?
He startles and sniffles and quickly wipes his eyes and closes the book. Yeah. Did you get any sleep?
Some, I guess. Did you?
I guess. I don't know exactly what's wrong with her yet. And he kind of points at Oriana. But I think I can, maybe in a couple of days, maybe try to figure it out. I'm looking through some of my books. And maybe I can at least feel useful doing that.
I'd like to help if I can.
Yeah. Okay.
Learn what you're doing and see if there's a way we can figure it out together.
Sure. You're not going to be needed on with like all of the ship stuff.
Yeah, but I think the faster we can get her up and going again, the better. I think everything is an emergency right now, so
Yeah, it kind of
how
feels
does
that
one
way.
prioritize?
Do you think that everybody should like gather up and we should talk about like what's going to happen in the next few days? I feel like we got out of there so quick. We didn't really come up with a plan or anything.
We could do that. Feels like everyone's sort of off licking their own wounds, and so maybe it would be a good idea for us to at least be in the same space for a minute.
Yeah. And not ruining ourselves trying to fly a ship. God, those aren't words I ever thought I'd say. I think I heard someone out in the mess area making something, and maybe coffee. Somebody was talking about coffee as they were walking past the door. I'm gonna go get some of that. Do you want to come out there, or do you want me to bring it back for you and your sister?
Why don't you go? I'll check on her and we'll be out.
Okay. Just reaches over and gives your knee a squeeze before getting up. You see him secure the magical pouch at his hip and just drops the overly large book into it. It just kind of vanishes magically into the pouch. Closes
About
the door softly.
I was going to say about halfway through their conversation, Mira would have felt like an adjustment in the twin bond, so she'd know that 80 was awake for part of that.
As soon as Dad leaves, I'll sort of lean over and poke her. I know you're
want
awake.
to be awake yet.
I know. You don't have to be.
Yes, I do. I don't like that you woke up before me. This is weird. You're usually the grouchy one.
Usually. Happy to take over whenever you feel like not being grouchy.
I couldn't. I don't know if I can talk to him yet. I will. Can't avoid it forever, but I just couldn't right then.
It's okay.
Did you sleep?
Some. I talked
I know
to
you're
Violet.
kind of lying to me.
Yeah. Oh. It's hard to shut everything up here off. But I talked to Violet, and she doesn't want to burden you with everything she's feeling?
I mean, I guess I get that, but I can still feel her regardless. And I mean, I know it's, milder the farther away we are, but also I feel like I really need to know how she's feeling, so I'm kind of tapped in. So she's not really doing me any favors. But I understand she doesn't really want to talk to me right now. That's okay too.
I told her that. I told her that it would just be good if she could tell you what she needs. And if that's space, that's okay. But just clarifying expectations.
Yes, that would be good. Thank you. Appreciate it.
It took me... This is not a big ship, and it took me a while to find her.
Yeah. She's good at that.
Dad wants to have a whole team meeting.
It makes sense. It's just gonna... That will be hard for me.
I know.
But it'll help. I heard a bit about coffee too, so I think I'm ready for that.
Do you want me to go get it and bring it, or?
No, I need to get up and get moving. Now that I'm awake, it's, just sitting around doesn't serve me well. And there's a lot to be done.
All right, let's go.
We will go get coffee.
As you guys are standing up, you hear a from above.
I bet that's Bren. Let's go see how he's doing today.
I'm sorry, what?
Long story short, he tied himself to the mast as an ape, and
You don't even have to say anymore. That is wonderful. We have to go see.
the question is whether it sounded like he was human again. So I think Violet owes me 10 gold.
You bet 10 gold?
Yeah.
Sheesh. All right. Nicely done.
So through sheer act of bullying Bren, everyone finds themselves up on the main deck of the ship as suns have risen. The light across the landscape is quite captivating in a lot of ways as it filters through the trees around you. And Bren's okay. Some magic gets employed to kind of deal with whatever injury he suffered from that. There's perhaps I don't know, are you guys secret about the exchanging of gold pieces for the loser of the bet? There's a quick exchange of gold pieces that gets noticed by some of the others, but everyone, of course, except for Oriana, is now on the main deck. There's a bit of awkwardness to it at first as everyone is gathered up, but eventually Ren kind of clears her throat. Well, it turns out that the second oldest person on this ship, as she glances at Varric, had a nice idea that we should probably have some kind of a plan going forward on what to do next. So, who wants to go first?
Um, 80 would actually step forward and she'd say, I don't know what needs to be done, but I think we should assign a job to everybody, figure out, what our skills are. I think if we knew what everyone was doing, we could figure out shifts and we could make sure that everyone's playing to their abilities. And I don't really know what else, but I think that's something.
Pretty good idea. My skill set is about a century out of date and never really applied to this. As she kind of glances around the ship. But I'm halfway decent at the helm, so that's probably what I'm best going to be at. Phelan clears their throat, sets their coffee mug down, and stands up. Right. Thanks, 80. So, we've got a few things that need to be handled for this, as far as I can tell anyway, to the best of my abilities. We're going to need several people manning the rigging. We're going to need somebody down in the engine room, probably, as they glance at Sisk, your wheelhouse?
I'm probably the closest until I can maybe get Mira all trained up on it, but...
Right. And didn't you tell me something about the engine every now and then needs a little bit of pick-me-up from magic?
Yeah, we need to infuse it with more magic power. That's kind of why we're heading south to try and, I think, see a smith to...
That's to keep it from, blowing up.
Exactly. Now,
Right.
I'm hoping that they have an idea for, keeping the energy stable, but we'll see what happens.
Mira, you told me something about the thing that the blacksmith needed to do for that.
Yes, I did.
I'm sorry, I've forgotten.
So has Deb.
The harness that needs to be crafted.
Yes, that's right. Yep. I will relay that information.
Yeah.
Yes. So that's the mission, but getting us there is going to be the problem. I know you've got some magic, Sisk, but I feel like that's a burden that we're going to have to share. I've got a little bit that I can help with. And they kind of glance between 80 and Mira. I think the two of you might be the most powerful wielders of magic that we have on board. So...
Sure.
I mean, yeah, if we can get Oriana awake again, she's better than me, but, that's going to be a bit...
Varric just kind of meekly holds up his hand. I'm working on that. Great. So, we need at least 3 people working on the rigging. Violet, Bren, I'll do everything that I can, of course. 80 and Mira, you might have to bounce around and help with that a little bit. Is anyone particularly good at navigation? Bren kind of... Yeah, I can do that. Great. Sounds like we have a plan, but the unfortunate thing that we need to consider is we can't do this all day. We're going to have to touch down for rest.
Mm-hmm.
So the question is, Do we want to travel during the day? Or do we want to travel at night?
I think the ideal scenario would be to alternate when we could do during the day when we're not close to any settlements, and then at night during, or we could just stay at night and power through until we get there, I guess.
Do we know how long it's going to take?
I mean, that trip on foot takes more than a month, probably close to 2. That's all I know about the deserts. Has anyone ever actually been to the Southlands?
Would I have been with
No, you
good old
did
Kel?
You did most of your work in the Midlands and the capital region.
That makes sense.
As a matter of fact, if it wasn't for the fact that the deserts are so inhospitable, you probably would have gone there to hide. But yeah, survival in the deserts is difficult. So, right. So no one's been there before. Great. Good thing we have good maps.
We've been traveling for what, a day? Not even? How far?
I think we only got a few hours.
How far are we from the mountains?
Ren just kind of, and he looks up at the mast. Hang on. He turns back into an ape, climbs up the mast to get a look over the trees, comes back down, still in ape form, heads off to the front of the ship, where right underneath the cannon there's the navigation or the room, the map room, and he disappears into that map room and comes back out a few moments later, still in ape form, by the way, holding a map, kind of waddling along, looking at the map, and then stops and starts like grunting, and then changes back into himself. Well, if I'm judging this correctly, we made probably a day on foot in just those couple of hours. So yeah, we're traveling at a good clip, but that's still going to be a week at least before we hit the edges of the desert. And we're supposed to go across it. So, kind of curls up the map. The Midlands is more populous than the Northlands. So if we're going to travel at all during the day, now would be the time to do it, for at least a couple of days before we hit the Midlands. Once we hit the Midlands, that's where it's going to get more problematic. Everything is more dense. So.
Okay.
Do we have enough supplies for a week or 2 of travel?
Yeah, we've got that. The food's not great, but we've got it. Hope everybody likes rice. So, we good?
I guess we have to be.
Yeah.
Go team. Maybe you'll just sort of turn and start walking somewhere.
People start moving on their own too. Ren heads up to the controls. How long do you think it's going to take to get the engine going, Sisk?
How long do I think it's going to take?
Maybe 20 minutes or so. In
I'll
this
say-
state, like not fully powered down, you can get it going relatively quickly.
Say 40 minutes.
Great. Phelan nods. All right. Well, Violet, Bren, let's start dealing with that mess up there. The knots and the rigging needs to be done before we can take off effectively, I think. I hope. I don't know how any of this works either.
Sure. She'll start scrambling up.
Mira and Varric give each other a knowing look. Whenever you've got time, I'll be down in the room reading some books.
Okay.
Mira, do me a favor and make a perception check using charisma.
$16.
Okay. As you watch Varric walk away, you watch everybody else kind of dispersing. There's a moment where it's just kind of you standing there. There's people around, right? You're not alone, but there's a moment where you're just kind of standing there and you glance up at the suns. And for the briefest of moments, you feel their warmth upon you. And you think you feel a hand on your shoulder. A gentle reassurance. And the crystal in your pocket begins to feel warm.
I reach my hand into my pocket and just hold it and close my eyes as I turn my face to the suns.
You feel his presence. Doesn't say anything. Just seemingly letting you know that he's there.
I'll stand there for a minute or two, just feeling the suns, and then shake it off and go busy myself with a task.
And that's kind of what everyone does. Eventually you get to the ship ready to go and start the process of taking off. It's a little bit fraught. Everyone is kind of working on instinct more than actual skill, and a lot of mistakes are made. But the ship takes off nonetheless. As you fly through the skies over the Imperium, the first couple of days are the hardest. As your crew slowly becomes accustomed to the ship itself, its movements, its controls, even the ropes feel awkward. There's a steep learning curve. Everything is trial and error. Ropes slip through fingers, burning your hands. Sometimes an adjustment to a lever that seemed innocuous sends the ship kind of reeling off in one direction, and it takes a lot of effort to get things back under control and get everyone's hearts back at the proper pace. Even the sails, which they're not enormous, but they feel large and complex, seem to constantly need adjustments. And all of this feels like the hardest lesson that any of you have ever had to learn. Fatigue still lingers. There's a constant gnawing at your muscles that can sometimes even blur your thoughts. Even with short breaks of rest, the mental and physical toll of keeping this ship going has a price. You start to feel that your conversations are just a little bit too brief. There's a weight of exhaustion. But as these days have gone on, in fact, only mere hours after you had taken off from that first night of rest, the clouds started rolling in. The skies, which had been clear, darkened. And at first, it's just a heavy overcast, but soon the wind picks up, colder and stronger, bringing with it the scent of rain and distant thunder. The storms arrive. Seemingly from nowhere, rolling in faster than expected, dark clouds that swirl across the horizon, and the first few drops of rain splatter against the deck. Lightning flashes in the distance, and the wind howls through the rigging. Yet as the storm gathers strength, something strange happens. The ship doesn't falter. In fact, your airship seems almost at home in the storm. You brace yourselves for rougher winds, harder rains, but the ship cuts through this turbulence with a surprising grace. And as the rain pelts down and the winds grow fiercer, it's almost as if the ship seems to know how to ride the storm, swaying in time with the violent gusts, steadying itself when it should be lurching out of control. The storm's fury should make things worse. It should strain every rope, every sail, but instead, there's a strange calm amidst this chaos. It's certainly harder, substantially, on you physically and mentally, but you can't help but feel that it's not as hard as it should be. As your airship weaves through the storm, it's almost like the ship has done this before and was built to ride this kind of torrent. And then it occurs to you, or at least some of you anyway, that while this storm is of course a challenge, it's also kind of a blessing. The thick swirling clouds and the sheets of rain provide cover, a kind of natural cloak to hide you from eyes below. And in the evenings, when you take your rest, or sometimes during the day when you glance at each other, you all can feel that realization that these stormy skies, although fearful, are also an ally. Despite the storm's constant presence, they do offer the reprieve occasionally. At night, when you're about to settle down, the winds die down a bit. You can still see the clouds roiling from above. But whenever you get a little too tired or the strain becomes too great, there always seems to be just the slightest break in the clouds when you need it. The gaps in the storm lighten just enough. And with ease, relative ease anyway, you manage to guide your ship down each night for rest. Whether it be setting down on a quiet river where the ship can float, or picking a dense copse of the forest with rolling hills that provide you some cover. You find yourselves hiding places, hidden in plain sight sometimes, obscured the next, as you take your moments of respite. What should have realistically been What you thought a couple of days turned into 3. And on this now 4th evening of rest, everyone is still quite tired. But your other companions, not yourselves anyway, you can decide how you feel. But with each passing day, things have felt a little bit easier despite the storms. And your other companions seem to be faring much better than they did that first night. It's almost like the storms have revitalized you in a way. Or maybe it's the journey. Maybe it's actually doing something, feeling productive, feeling farther away from the worries of before. As you set down for this evening of rest, Mira, you and Varric have been spending some time periodically working on trying to figure out what's wrong with Oriana, and I would like for you to please roll an Arcana check.
I will use my other advantage. Dirty 20.
Thank you, Varl. Dirty 20. Varric doesn't have a full library with him. He's got a few dozen books in his bag of holding, and they have a variety of topics about them. But one in particular starts talking about curses. And you have the sense that you should probably ask your father why he has this book. But maybe it's not the best time to talk about those things. Eventually, though, the book proves fruitful in that there's a number of curses. Excuse me. There's a number of curses that could be afflicting Oriana. Thankfully, all of them have a very similar cure. There's supplementary magic involved, a few ingredients that you need to collect for various arcane practice, and if you do it quickly enough, I think that Oriana can make a recovery. At this point, though, you're pressing your luck a bit as she's been down several days, and the body can only go so long without food and water in a state such as this. And as you've touched down that evening, and you and your father are discussing things, he mentions to you, at some point we're gonna need to tell your brothers.
Yeah.
I don't know what I'm gonna tell them.
We'll figure it out.
Let's go find Bren and maybe see where we're at, and if there's anything nearby that we might be able to go visit someplace to get the stuff that we need for your friend.
Okay.
And Varl coming in with a donation for Mira so that she
Thank you,
has another
Varl.
advantage. As you all go in search of Bren, what are the rest of you doing? And how are you all feeling about these several days of hard travel?
Okay. Well, I think Sisk is very mentally drained. I think they try to make themselves at least like physically available. So like they'll hang out in the same room, you know, a gentle head caress as they pass by one of the girls or something. Just be like, you know, I see you and I care about you a lot, but don't talk to me. They're mostly, they hang out in the engine room. They have been carrying Tig's head around. It's getting kind of weird, but you know, they're inspecting every time you see them. Basically, for the last few days, they've been inspecting something. You know, trying to figure out how the ship works, how it functions on the less the ship scale and more the flying arcane scale.
All right, Andrew.
Yeah, I think Violet's really busying herself being up in the rigging and up in the nest. She'll come down whenever she needs to, but I think she's spending a lot of her time up in the air and up in the mast.
And 80.
At first, 80 goes where she's told and starts to learn, you know, in one place. But after a little bit, I think she'd consult a lot with Phelan because they have the most knowledge of ships, even though it's not all applicable. But I think she would start hopping around and trying to figure out as many of the roles on this ship as she can. And, you know, she'd stick with a job as long as she needed to and then move on again. She's definitely still trying to stay busy, hoping that she doesn't cross paths with her dad or Violet or anyone, ideally. Yeah.
Okay. You're pretty effective at doing the avoidance stuff. Go ahead and give me let's call it an insight check, but you don't have advantage on this insight check because it's not an emotional based thing.
21.
Pretty good. Over the course of that time of you like trying to shadow Phelan and such, I will say that you end up picking up on conversations between Phelan and Ren, and you're able to learn that about, according to Ren, a century ago, Ren also spent some time on a ship. And so she has perhaps less current experience than Phelan does. But you at least have a couple of practiced sailors on board. And at some point, you end up working up the courage to try to get Ren to explain to you how steering the ship works. Half of which is Ren just like, I am 100% guessing every single thing that I do here. But it's at least an informed guess.
We'll figure it out together.
Coming back to you, Mira, as you and your father head off to find Bren, you find him in the map room, going over, just trying to make sure he knows where you guys are at and keeping tabs on things. And you discover that you are pretty close to the Midlands. You should probably rest the next day and start traveling at night based on your previous plans. And your father actually is looking through the map, and he mentions that it seems like you're not very far. Well, we'll roll it out. I think that we're not very far from Rhyme Glen. It's so it's a tiny place. It's kind of a waypoint. It's a small town on the edges between the Northlands and Midland, and there's a temple to Apraxis there. The Triune Sanctorium. I've been there a couple of times. That might be our best bet to actually finding what we need for Oriana.
Okay. Do you think that they'll help us, or?
The monks at the Triune never turn away aid. So, yeah, I think that they would be willing to help us.
Do we take her with us? Do you think they would help us?
I think we'd be better off. All right. This is going to sound insensitive, but anybody that sees her knows she's going to be cursed. Cursed in the, not in the factual state,
like,
cursed in the,
Got it.
And I'm sure that we'd be able to find people willing to lend help. But I'm also sure that we'd probably find somebody that would take notice of that and it not be a good thing. I think we need to leave her here, go get the things that we need, and then come back as quickly as we can. It's probably 3 hours walk from here. We, move as fast as we can.
Okay.
Who do you think would want to go? I think we need others. Bren's like, I think we need other supplies too, so I'm gonna go.
Dad, maybe if you and I go to the Sanctorium, Bren, do you want one other person to help you carry supplies? Do you need more?
I mean, worst case scenario, I could turn into a horse. I think we actually have some packs and stuff down below that could work as saddlebags in a way. Get stuff. If I turn into a horse, it gets us there quicker too. It's just you two.
That might.
But I wouldn't want to deprive anybody else from, seeing civilization if they want to.
Yeah.
We're not going. I'm too tired to do it tonight. We'll do it in the morning. I'm gonna go find my chair now. And he just leaves.
I guess I can ask if anyone else wants to go. I think I would prefer to go as fast as possible. Based on the books, it seems like the longer we wait with Ori, the harder it's going to be.
Yeah. This is going to sound a little weird, but I just don't really know about your sister's capabilities. She had mentioned something about being able to, read people's minds and such.
It's more that she can feel everyone's emotions. I've felt just a little piece of what she feels all the time once, and it was overwhelming.
What about that power in the mountains?
That was new.
Kind of would want her to come along, but I don't want to put that on her if she doesn't want to, and it would be helpful just so we can know if anything, if there's any danger, a little bit easier?
I can ask her. I know she's been overwhelmed by the intensity of what you are feeling. It's not that she doesn't want to be around you, but it's hard, you know?
Yeah. I understand. See if she's willing to come along.
Okay.
And anybody else too, you know. Not just saying this has to be you girls.
I think we're gonna probably want to travel fast, so get some rest tonight.
Yeah, I'll do that. Heads off.
I'll go in search of the others and whoever I stumble across first.
You probably find whoever's on, anybody that's on the main deck you'd find first. Phelan is there. They're moving a little bit better than before, but it doesn't take very much interaction with them to know that as much as it would be good to, see other people, they don't really care about seeing other people in this instance, and they would slow you down, and they just make a whole bunch of little excuses. So they're a no. You probably spot Violet as Violet is heading up the mast for her evening of rest in the crow's nest.
Hey, Violet. Can I chat with you for a second?
Yeah. She'll hop down and... What's up?
So my dad thinks that we're close to a place that can help us get Oriana back. And Bren is going to get supplies, and some people obviously are going to stay with the ship, but if you want to come, we're going to leave tomorrow.
Just you and Bren, or?
Well, and my dad, and he wants 80 to come, so I think probably it would be nice to have Ren stay here and guard the ship, but maybe she wants to go. I don't know. It's sort of a whoever wants to go into town. It's like a 3-hour walk, and my dad and I are going to go to this temple place. Bren's going to go find some supplies. So if you feel like a walk and getting off the ship for a while.
Yeah. I think that'd be nice. I also don't love the idea of you guys going by yourself. So, I'll walk with you. Are they the places to get supplies, and the other place, are they close, or is it the same place?
I think it's the same town called Rime Glen.
Okay. Yeah.
Andrew, go ahead and make a history check for me.
$19.
19. The name Rime Glen is familiar. Takes you a second. You remember the name Rime Glen in one of your dad's journals, and next to it there was another name with an asterisk next to the name, which you know to be a short form thing that your father would use as a person of importance. And that name was Buzzin. Which means that Reed at least had something going on in Rhyme Glen.
We'll take note of that. Won't share it right away, though. Let me know when you're heading out.
Okay. Be nice to have you with.
Change the scenery will be nice too. You okay? I'll just give Mira a hug, even if she doesn't answer.
Mira will hug back.
Do you go next?
I think I will assume that Sisk is in the engine room and go in search of them.
I'm assuming that Sisk is also in the engine room.
Sisk is definitely in the engine room.
Ooh. I am actually, before we do that, I'm going to message you, Kay, privately before...
Secrets.
Let's say that you got instead waylaid halfway there by 80 while I'm messaging Kay.
So we're going to town tomorrow?
Everyone?
Well, whoever wants to, I think. We're close to a place called Rhyme Glen. Dad says there's a temple there that we might be able to find help for Oriana. So
Good.
yeah.
I mean, who's going?
Me and Dad and Bren, and I just talked to Violet, and I think she's gonna come.
Cool. There's a lot to do here. And I mean, we can't just leave the ship all alone, right? So having people here would be a good idea.
Well, Phelan is gonna stay, and I haven't talked to Ren, but she doesn't seem like a people person. So I don't know if she's gonna come.
It's very much a people person. It just involves a lot of stabbing and murder with them. It's the other people that don't like her coming around. That's all it is.
I mean, I'm kind of in the middle of a few projects, and I'd hate to disrupt my flow. So maybe you guys should all go, and I'll stay here.
I'm not gonna make you. Dad really wants you to come.
Yep.
He thinks that your ability to read people will come in helpful.
You're leaving in the morning? Can I think about it?
Of course.
She already knows she's going to go, but she doesn't want to.
Listen, I can occupy Dad and scoot on up ahead or fall behind or whatever, and you can try to talk to Violet, or you can Bren said something about turning into a horse. You can ride off on Bren and
That is a weird thing to think about. Wow. Maybe I will stay back. I'll go.
Okay, I think it would be good, and I haven't asked Sisk yet, so maybe she'll come, and so there will be lots of us there to distract you.
Cool. Okay, this was great. Go ask Sisk. Yeah.
Go finish the projects you're working on, or whatever.
I actually am working on projects. There's a lot to do here. It's really interesting.
Mm-hmm.
She'll go.
After leaving 80, you catch up with Ren, just passing down the corridor, heading out to do another scouting around, and Ren very clearly indicates that someone has to stay behind to protect Phelan and Oriana. And you're fairly easily able to pick up a little bit on that Ren perhaps feels guilty of what happened to Phelan and Oriana when she left them in the mountains to go after you guys, when you had messaged that you were being attacked by the clergy, and then somehow the clergy got to the ship when she wasn't there. And so there's a distinct sense that Ren is never going to let something like that happen again. But eventually you find your way down to the engine room.
What do I find Sisk doing?
Is there a door to the engine room, or is it just
Yes.
Yeah,
Nope,
okay.
there is a door.
So the door is closed when you get there, and so you start slowly pushing it open. You might yell Sisk or whatever, and you see Sisk kind of hunched over, moving a bunch of things around. There's like scraping metal noises and stuff, and you see Tig is completely disassembled along a table. So there are like wires and little bits of clockwork here and there. It is messy, and they seem to be very fervent in whatever they're doing with Tig's body.
Hey,
Hello.
You look busy. Am I interrupting?
No, I'm still figuring it out. Tig is very complex. So I'm still puzzling. I'm sure I think I need some things. Hopefully we'll be stopping off to get food sometime soon.
That's actually why I'm here.
Ooh.
There's a town that's like 3-hour walk from here. Some of us are going tomorrow. We also think that, my dad thinks that he and I can find some materials to help Oriana. And so we're getting that stuff and supplies. So if you want to come, we're leaving bright and early tomorrow morning. It sounds like it's so far me and my dad and Bren and Adie and Violet.
Okay. All right. Yeah, I think that would be good. Sisk looks back at Tig and is like, yeah, I think I should leave the engine room.
I think taking
is
a
Tig
little
starting
break.
to feel a little mad, or is Sisk starting to feel a little mad scientist-y?
Yeah, they have realized how they look, and it is not ideal. Yeah, I'm really happy that your dad was able to figure something out with Oriana.
Yeah,
So
I'm really hoping that it works and we can get her back. But yeah, I think for all of us, a change of scenery and maybe some other people that aren't the 8 of us, however many of us there are, would be probably a good thing.
okay. Are you good? Probably not. Why did I ask that?
Are any of us good? I don't know. But I'm hanging in there. So yeah.
Okay. Well, what are you up to now? I'll slowly start moving us out of the room and I'll close the door behind us.
I probably am gonna sleep. It's
Get our rest, yeah.
Yeah. I think
Okay.
probably gonna be a fairly big day tomorrow, so
Okay. Well, make a list, because we will definitely forget something otherwise.
yeah. I have to make a list to remember where all my lists are so that I can not forget things. But
You need a bag of holding for yourself. Just throw everything in there and
maybe,
whenever you think of it, right?
yeah. Are you good? I mean, you've been kind of shut up in here for a while, so
Could be better. I mean, I'm more worried about you guys. I'm gonna be really honest. Someone has to worry about you guys because you guys aren't worrying about you guys.
yeah, it's gonna hit us at some point. I can see it barreling toward us like I don't know, wagon off the rails. I've heard that's a thing.
If you need someone to step in or even just watch, witness how you guys are feeling, send me a little bird or something and I'll be there. Okay?
Thanks.
Do you need a hug?
Yeah.
Okay. I'll hug Mira. I'll hold her as long as she stays there. We'll just stand in the hallway.
It's a long hug.
That'd be lovely.
At some point, the comfort of the hug is enough, and you separate. Everyone goes off to find their respite for the evening. The days have been difficult, to say the least, but there seems to be a moment of hope for at least some of you, whether that be the notions of visiting a place and seeing people other than yourselves, or just not having to deal with flying the airship for a few more hours, or perhaps whatever is happening in the engine room with Tig. All of you manage to find your rest for the evening with new hopes, hopefully coming in the next day. And that's where we're going to call it tonight, ladies and gentlemen.